Okay, today's tutorial is going to be an introduction to Adobe Premiere Pro, which is Adobe's editing software. And we're going to be introducing the software and just kind of giving you a basic feel for the interface and how to save and manage your projects here. So this screen is the first thing that will come up when you press the icon to get it started. So what you'll want to do if you're starting a new project is go up to here and press New Project. And so this is kind of new. I'm recording this in August of 2022 here. And this is a bit of a new feature here where when you're starting a new project, it kind of gives you all these files that you might want to build your project out of. And I'm going to kind of ignore this stuff for right now because I kind of prefer to, I'm setting my old ways here, I guess. So looking up here, I'm going to set the location that I want my project to be. And so before I kind of get started here, what I would like to do is I'm going to set up a project on my desktop here. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to, on my desktop here, I'm going to right click, new folder, and I'll just call this YouTube demo. And see if I can type here. And so when you're saving projects in Premiere, what you need to do is so you're editing a project, and so you're going to have your video files, your audio files, and all that stuff, and you're going to try to put them all into one place, because when you save a Premiere project, when you're done saving, it's not like saving a Word document where you press save and then it's all saved into one document. Premiere is still sourcing all those video files and all those audio files from all around your computer. And to keep Premiere from crashing, to keep from losing your files and just averting general disaster overall, what you want to do is set up a project folder and put all the files that you want into this folder. So this can be on your desktop, this can be on your hard drive, any location where it's safe on your computer is fine. Since this is a YouTube demo, I'm just doing it on my desktop here. And so I'll double click in here and I'll kind of set up my own directory here. So what I like to do is stay organized, because remember, like most of the times when you're editing a video project, you're going to be working with dozens, if not hundreds, of video files, audio files, and so you're having to manage a lot of stuff here, right? And so what I like to do here, if it's just a basic project, is I'll just do make a folder for videos to go, make a new folder for audio, and make a folder, and again I'm right clicking to get this, images right there. And this is just the most basic directory you could possibly set up here. So that's kind of how I like to get started here. So again, I'm just making a root folder here that I just happen to name YouTube demo. And I made 3 folders in here, just one for my audio files, one for any still images that I might need, and then another for videos here. So with that aside, I'm going to return to Premiere and set my project location here. So I'm just going to click on this, and I'm going to go down to the bottom where it allows me to choose a location. And I will go to my desktop and then YouTube demo, right? So that's the project directory. So I chose that, and you can see it updated right there. And I'll call this project, let's see here, Interface V1, and I'll create it. And I'll just need a second here to think about it. So all I did there was I made the project directory, and then I named my file here, my Premiere file. And so now when I click into here, my YouTube demo, you can see I named my project Interface version 1, and that's how a Premiere project saves right there. So what I like to do here before I kind of start working in my project is I'm going to locate the files that I want to use for this demonstration. So on my desktop here, I have a WAV file, which is a high quality audio file. Premiere can read all kinds of audio files, but this is just some stock audio kind of music that won't get flagged by YouTube, right? That I can just kind of throw in there to help demonstrate audio. So I'm just going to put that in my audio folder. I have a screenshot I was using for reference for a character design. Pretty random, but I'll put that in my images right there. And then for video, I shot some footage on my camera. And so on my camera, my camera's kind of hooked to the computer right now. And so I'm just going to grab the 2 video files that I took here. So I have just some video of a plant in my room and then another video here. So I'm just going to hold Shift and then just drag those into my video folder. And so now the theme here is that anything that I plan to use in my Premiere project, I just put into this project folder. So that way, if things get deleted, things get moved, it doesn't cause a problem. If I want to move from one computer to the next, all I need to do is just take this project directory folder that I made and drag it onto like my external hard drive or wherever it needs to go, right? So it's really important that you work this way. It's not really an optional thing, and if you kind of decide to work another way, it's going to make your life pretty difficult here. So back in Premiere here. So first off, whenever I save in Premiere, all I need to do is just go to File, Save As. Oh, whoops, I press Save As, and you can see here now it sees my directory, right? And so whenever I save, it'll go into my project directory on my desktop. And so you can keep saving it as the same thing. Or if you're worried that you might be experimenting and messing something up, you can save incrementally as you move along with your project here, right? So I'll just cancel out of that. So looking at the interface, the way that this interface works is we have our projects window right here. And so this is where you import your media. So your video, your audio, all that stuff, you import it into Premiere in this folder right here. One thing that's important is up here, we have these 3 kind of folders here. And again, this is kind of new in Premiere as well, where we have our edit interface right here. We have import right here, which is that kind of home screen that we initially went in on. And then we have this export window right here, which will help you export your videos. So most of the time you're going to be working here in your edit window right here. Let me pull this back up. Okay. And so that's that top part right there. So most of the time you're going to want to be in the edit view. Over here to the right, you can maximize your window view. Right here, you can set your interface to be in different arrangements. So right now, I have this in Essentials right here, the Essentials layout. And I'm going to keep it in the Essentials layout, but you can also change it depending on what kind of task you're trying to do. Let's say I want to do color correction. It changes the arrangement of the interface to be more helpful for doing that task, right? If you're trying to do graphics, it's got this interface layout right here. So you can even make your own customized workspace here through these menus down here. But again, I find these to be pretty good. So I'm just going to work in Essentials. And so just kind of going back, we have the project window here. So I'm about to import some video files and some audio files, and I'll import it into this folder. You'll notice that there's some more tabs up here. But really the main one we want to worry about right now is this one right here, which says project, colon, and then the name of the project here. So let's kind of focus on this folder here for a second. So we have a few buttons down here. And the first button that I want to worry about right here is this new bin. And essentially that just means a new folder. And this will help with organization here. So I'm just going to create 3 folders here, and I'm going to call one audio, one images, and one vid, just to kind of match up with our project directory here. So I press that folder button right there, and I'll make one called audio. And I'll close that tab. I'll make a second one and call that vid. And then I'll make one more and call that images. Okay. And so if we want to import our assets into the project, all I need to do is make sure I'll import the audio first. So I'm going to just highlight my audio folder gray just by clicking on it once. And then I'll go up to File, down to Import. So File, Import. And let's go back to the desktop. This is the project directory. And then I have under Audio that stock audio that I had there. So that's imported there. And you can see it shows up right there. Next, I'll import the screenshot image. So same thing, I just highlight the folder for images, go up to File, Import, and go to my images folder, import the screenshot. That's a PNG file. And then finally, I'm going to import the videos. So I'm going to go to File, Import, and go, again, I'm under my project directory. I have my video folder, and then I have my 2 videos right there. I'll hold Shift and select both of them and press Import right there. So now I have a well-organized project directory here, and we're kind of ready to get started with things. So some of these other sliders we don't really need to worry about right now. The really important one is to know about the new bin. So you can just, again, fancy word for just making new folders. You can change the scale of them right here. If you have a video or an image or something like that you don't want anymore, you can just click on it and then go down here and press this trash can, and that'll delete the file for you. So I'll just delete that, and you can see it's gone. If you want to undo anything, you can press Command Z or go Edit, Undo right there. So I'll bring it back right there. Additionally, in this folder right here, you can click on this, and it's called New Item. And if you click on it, a new window will come up. And you can see here that we can create some new items in here beyond just importing assets. So we'll go over this down the road here, but that's a helpful button as well. You can run searches in here, but again, I just want to go over the very, very basics here. So we have our assets in here. I could go ahead and just save. So you can see this project still kind of appears empty right now. And so what we need to do is create a sequence. And that reminds me, I need to make a new bin here by pressing the folder button and call this sequences. And there's a couple ways that you can create a sequence here. So the first way, and probably the easiest way, is to find one of your videos that you've imported here. And if this video, so this video I shot in 1920 by 1080, and you can see I'm hovering my cursor over it, and you can see that it's showing those settings below it. So you can see the name of the MOV. You can see that, oops, let me put my cursor back up. It's 1920 by 1080, which is standard HD. And you can see the audio is stereo 24-bit 48,000 hertz, which is all good settings right there. And if these videos are a high resolution and that's what you want your sequences or for your final project to match, what you can do is you can just click it and then just drag it into your timeline, and you can see my cursor is a hand with a little plus next to it. And so I'll just let it go. And you can see here we have a new sequence, and it looks like this. It's got the little cursor through it and then the 3 bars right there. So that means a sequence. If it's got a film icon with an audio icon next to it, that means that it's video with audio right there. If it's just audio, it'll just have the audio icon next to it. And then if your asset is an image, it'll have this image on there. So this is a sequence that's based off of the video footage that I took right here. And what I'm going to do is just, again, to stay organized, I'm just going to select the sequence, and then I'm doing a normal click, and I'm just going to drag it into my sequences folder. If you want to rename this, you can press return. So again, I'm just hovering my cursor over it, and then press return on your keyboard, and you can rename it. And I'll just call this comp 1. And you can see the name changed right there to comp 1. And we can see here, So I'll have that selected right there, so it's highlighted gray. And if I go up here to sequence and then sequence settings, we can see the settings that my sequence currently has. So if you do this technique where you just drag your video file down here to create a new sequence, be sure just to go up to sequence settings real quick and just double check things. So you can see here that time base or frames per second is set at 24, which I'm happy with. 1920 by 1080 is with square pixels is what you want for standard HD. We have the working color space, 709 is good. Audio is good. So all these settings right here are pretty good settings right now for this. So I'll press OK. And if I click on this blue icon right here, you can see that I'm moving the cursor on the time right here. And this is one way, and this is a sequence right here where you have your timeline and you can put clips in there and start creating a movie. So that's what a sequence is. Let me delete this. So I'm going to delete my sequence just by selecting it right here and then pressing the trash can. So that's usually how I create a sequence right there. You could also, you can right click on a video asset and then you can go down to new sequence from clip, which does the exact same thing. So if at any point you can just click on a piece of video, and be sure to do this with video, not audio or images, but you right click and then you go to new sequence from clip and select that, and you can see it does the same thing. I happen to choose the other video that I imported right there, and we have a sequence that's based off of that. So, and again, I would take this sequence and I would drag it into my sequences folder just to stay organized here. Finally, the third way that I know of to create a sequence is you can go up to File, New, and then go down to Sequence here. And from here, you can set it up from presets right here, or you can go to, and so these presets, like for instance, we have digital SLR, and you can see over here to the right, you can see the specs. So this is 1920 by 1080 again, and this time it's 29.97 frames per second, so this doesn't really match up exactly with my video footage that I took. Additionally, you could go over to settings and you could manually type in what you want your composition to be right here. And so this is another way that you can set up a sequence right here. So any of those three ways you can set up your sequences. So to start off my project right here, I'll just I'll go back to creating my sequence. So I'm going to select this video clip. I'll right click it and then go to new sequence from clip. And you can see right there, it created the sequence. Oops. And then I'll just, this is my sequence right there. I'll hover over it, press return, so that'll allow me to rename it. You could also, if you can't remember that shortcut of pressing return, you can right click and go down to rename right here. Right clicking in this project folder can get you to a lot of really helpful things here. So rename, and I'll again call this comp 1. Drag that into my sequences. Okay, so I have one clip right here, and let's say that I want to shorten it here. So you can see it starts on this plant, and as I press play, it's just kind of hovering over the plant, and then it'll kind of pan down to the soda can. Let's say that I don't want the soda can in there and I want to edit that out. So let's kind of start thinking about the timeline a little bit and integrate the timeline with our project window here. So if I want to shorten this up, there's two ways that I can do that. I can either, you can see right here, I'm hovering my cursor over the right side of the clip, and you should see that there's a red arrow that's pointing to the left. And then if I hover it this way, it points to the right. And what this does is it shrinks. You can grab it and drag it down to shorten the clip right there. And if you want to make the clip longer, you can just click it and then drag it back out again. Additionally, we can look at some of these. We're not going to go over all of these buttons right now, but I'm going to go over the main ones, which is, and we'll go over some of these buttons as well right now, is we have the razor tool, which is the shortcut for it is C, and you can see I'm hovering my cursor over it, and it's showing us what the shortcut is. So if you press C on your keyboard or press this button right here, I can just press right there, and it makes a cut right through the audio, or I mean, sorry, the video. And I can just select the side of it just by highlighting right there and press delete, and then it's gone. And that's another way to trim the video. And again, if I make that cut and I'm like, shoot, I didn't mean to do that, I could go up to edit and undo, or I can just hover my cursor where that red arrow shows up, drag it to the right, and extend it back again right there. So again, if you want to shorten your clips, you can either press C, do a razor slice through it or cut it, or you can hover your cursor over here and drag it down and shorten your clip that way. So let's go over a couple of these buttons right here. So this button's a really helpful one to know about. It's called the snap button right here. Shortcut is S. And what it's helpful for is, I'll turn it off here for a second, is let's say I want to shorten the clip to wherever my cursor is. And a lot of times you're going to want to do that. Is you'll drag it, and if it's off, it won't snap to it. You see, it's like I'll let it go, and it's not exactly on the clip. But if I have this magnet, the snap, sorry, on, I can click it and drag it, and you can see as soon as I get close to my cursor, it'll just snap right to it, which is really helpful, particularly if you have multiple videos that you're trying to line up together and you don't want them to overlap in a strange way. So that's a really helpful button. I usually just leave that on. Another button that's helpful to know about is link selection. So right now it's on, and if I drag my video, you can see underneath it, there's some audio down here, and the audio and the video stay linked together right there. Again, I should probably clarify that the video is this bar right here, and then you can see down here we have 3 layers for video to go. Video 1, video 2, video 3. And then down here we have audio 1, audio 2, and audio 3 right there. If I click this and unlink it, the video and the audio will become unlinked right there. You can see that this little red tag comes up as they become unsynced with each other, and it's giving us an indicator that I have moved this forward 5 seconds and 11 frames right there. Again, this is another thing that I keep both of those buttons on the vast majority of the time here. So continuing to go over the basics here, we have these 3 tracks of video, 3 tracks of audio. So looking at this, we have this button right here, which is a lock, and you can see that my layer gets these little lines through it, which means that now I can't drag that layer anymore. And I'll unlock it right there. Another super important thing that I failed to mention before is, so we have the crop tool right here, but most of the time you're going to want to be on your selection tool right here to drag audio around and do most of your work here. The shortcut for it is V as in vampire. And so you select that, and so that lets you move your clips around. But okay, so again, looking at this, we can lock it, and you can tell it's locked by the diagonal lines, but you can see that the audio is not locked when I do that. So if you want to lock the video and the audio, you need to lock it here and then lock it again right here. Additionally, I'll unlock those. You can turn off the visibility right there or turn it back on again. Looking at the corresponding audio layer, I can mute it. So that way, if you don't want to hear that audio anymore, you just press this button on that layer and it'll mute everything that happens to fall on under that audio layer right there. And if you want to solo it, which is a word saying that if there's multiple tracks of audio and you don't want to hear like the 5 other tracks of audio and you just want to hear this one, you can just press that, and then this audio will be the only audio that you hear in your project right here. Okay, so I'll just shorten this way, and it's snapping right there. Okay, so we have that one video right there. Let's say that I want to import my other piece of video that I have right here. So it's under my video folder in my project directory. And if I click it, and drag it down, you can see that it's got a hand with a Ghostbusters X mark next to it, which means that it won't let me drag it in there. This is an annoying function with Premiere right here that bugs me. Is what you have to do is we need to make a whole new sequence out of this and then copy and paste the video into our main sequence here. So what you need to do here is select the the video that you want to work with, right click, go down to new sequence from clip, right? This is the exact same thing we did before. So new sequence from clip, we have our new our new sequence right here, and you can see it showed up right there. And what I need to do here, and you can see, is we have these different tabs. So remember, I named our main sequence comp1, and it made this new sequence that's named after the second piece of video footage. So what I need to do is I need to select it right here, and I need to press Command C to copy, or I can press Edit and then go to copy right here, Command C. So I've copied it. Then I'm going to click over to my main sequence right here, drag my cursor to where I want it to land here. And if it's not lining up, just hold Shift while you drag the cursor and it'll snap to that point. You can tell it's snapping because these little triangles will show up right here. And then I'll press Command V to paste it, or you go up to Edit and then go down to Paste right here. And so now we have our second piece of footage right here. So you can see that we have the footage of the plant, and then it'll cut over to the footage of the synthesizer right here. So press spacebar or hover your cursor over here to press play, and so you can see where it's playing now. And it's going to cut over to that second piece of footage right there. So that's kind of the absolute basics of Premiere and how to get started right here. So we have the play button right here. You can see here we can step forward one frame right here. So step forward, step back a frame, those are really helpful right here. These go to the in and out points, which we'll go over down the road. And there's a few helpful things, like you can export a still shot, for instance. So if you want to export just like a JPEG or something like that of this still of footage, you can click this and you can export a JPEG of just this frame of your movie right here. So again, we'll go over this in more detail later on. But the main one to know about is just pressing spacebar to play it, and then stepping forward a frame or stepping back a frame or stepping forward a frame right there is super helpful as well. Again, if you want to edit the footage, you just you can just grab the edges of it till you get that red area that looks like that, and make sure that you're using this button right here, the selection tool. Or you can press C or press this button right here, and then create a slice right there, delete, and then create edits that way. As we're kind of going over the basics still, we have this whole section which I haven't even touched on yet, and we'll go over that in future tutorials here, but this is how you add effects to your footage, how you add cross dissolves, any kind of animation. You can kind of do some basic animation in Premiere where you can like move your footage around, but again, After Effects is way better at that, so whenever you can use After Effects for that, I would use it. But again, you can use this for dissolving video, things like that. Oh, one other thing I want to say here is, let me import the audio real quick and show you something. So I'm going up here to my project directory, and I have the audio, and if I click it right here, you can see I can just drag straight in to my scene right here. And so now this is going to be some cheesy song or something, but you can see that we have audio in our project right there. And whoops, I clicked something by mistake there. What did I click? So now we can really see that that audio in there. So let me just that's funny, I'm not sure exactly what I clicked there. Let me well, anyway, we're kind of reaching the end of the tutorial here, so I will just move this over to a different workspace here. Shoot. All right, that changed some things. So just keep your eye over here. Sorry about the interface changing around right there. So importing the audio, you can see my project directory moved from up here to down here, annoyingly. And all I did, you remember with video, I was not able to just click it and drag it into my sequence, but with audio, you should be able to just click it and drag it in. And for still images, you should be able to do that as well, where you just click it and then drag it in. And so we have the still image right here, which you can edit the exact same way you would footage right there, where you can just click it and drag it right there. And we'll go over more on how to scale things, cross dissolves, more advanced stuff here in a future tutorial here. But you can see here that I have this on video layer 2 right here. And so since it's on top, you'll see it'll show over top the footage right there. If I want it to, let's extend it a little bit, and then I'll shorten this video clip. Let's say that I want this plant footage to go on top of it. All I need to do is just click it right there. So I'm just clicking right on the video, just dragging it up. And if I dragged it right there, it would cut in to my still image, but I can drag it onto the third video layer and it'll show on top of it because it's the layer on top right there. So okay, and so again, since this magnet tool, the snap, is on, if I click this, let's say that I want to take our image and I want it to line where its starting point to line up exactly with the end of this plant footage right here. All I need to do is do the red arrow and you can see it'll snap right there. And that can be really helpful because sometimes you'll have video on a bunch of different layers and you just want it to be simple and be on one layer. Since I'm using that snap function, I now know I can just click it in and they'll all line up exactly with each other. Let's see here. Oh, super important thing on the timeline, if you want to zoom in and out, you can press Z on your keyboard, or you can press this button right here and you can click and zoom in. Additionally, you can mess with this right here. So you can move the timeline forward just by clicking in the middle of it and dragging forward. Or if you click in the middle of it and drag back, you can move the cursor that way. You can also, if I want to zoom in, I'll grab this handle right here and then drag to the right and it'll zoom out. And if I want to zoom in, I can drag in right there. And again, I can zoom in more by just clicking with this button selected right there. If you press Option on your keyboard, you can see the magnifying glass, the zoom button goes with a plus to a minus. So again, it's this button right here. And if you press Option on your keyboard, you can zoom back out. Or again, you can drag this handle right here. So that's how you zoom in and out. Last thing I want to go over here is we'll go over exporting audio is a separate tutorial here, or sorry, exporting your video is a separate tutorial here. But setting your in and out point can be really helpful, and that's what these buttons right here have to deal with, right there and right there. And so to set your in point, the best way to do it is just press I on your keyboard, and so you can see this gray bar shows up right here. And since my frame was at 0 right here, it set the in point at 0 frames, but I can also set it right here. So it's just wherever your cursor is, where you press I, that's going to be the in point of your video. And then if you drag it to here, let's say I want the video to end out here, I'll press O for output, so in point and out point. That's a well-defined shortcuts. It's I and O. If I press it right there, the out point will be right there. I could hold Shift and snap my cursor to the end of the video file and press Out, and I'll do the out point there. And again, what this in and out point does, what it mainly does here is it serves a couple of functions, but the main thing is when you go to export your video, wherever your in point and out point are, define where the in point and the out point of your video will be. So if my in point was right here and I were to render out my finished edit, my movie would start right here, and then it would end right there. So if I was happy with my full edit, I would drag my cursor to the very beginning, press I, and I would drag to the end of my edit right here and hold shift on my keyboard so it snaps to the end right there, and then press out. And so now when I go to render, it would render my exact edit that I made right here. So I think that's enough for this tutorial, and we'll continue to kind of work through this and pick things up, but I mainly wanted to go over an introduction of the project directory, which is really important. Remember that in Premiere, and I'll go ahead and save this. Remember that in Premiere, you really want to set up a project directory where, remember, if I click inside my project directory, and again, I have this on my desktop, I have a folder, I have my root folder where I save my Premiere project, which is a PRPROJ file. I put my videos into a video folder, images into an image folder, etc. here. And that'll just help you stay organized, and it'll keep you from losing files. If you, so here, I'll demonstrate this here. So I'll take my screenshot of image, and I'll just drag it out of that folder so that it's gone now. So now when I go back to Premiere, you can see missing media for these clips. So that file is now offline. We no longer have access to the screenshot. I can try to locate the file and do that through here, but you can see right there that the file is missing right there. So again, that's why we have that project directory set up. So that first thing that I went over was super important, just to stay organized. Make a project directory folder, put your stuff in there. So I'll put that back. Let's see if it finds it. I might need to like reload the footage in order to get that to show back up again, by linking the media and stuff like that. Replace footage, link media. But you can see here how it loses a file if you kind of drag something out of that project directory. So that's super important here. So that's one of the main takeaways I hope you get from this, is make a project directory, keep things organized, keep things in there. Additionally, in Premiere, I went over the timeline, and then the project window here where you keep your assets organized, and then I kind of went over some of the basic functions and tools and editing here.